watch
How?
this?
How?
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 Ew, how do you watch this? Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hello, this is How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we give each other a movie to watch in the genre we love, but they don't. My name is Demi, and I love horror.
I'm Megan, and I love romance. And this week's common thread is...
One bed. No, I didn't think about the way to say it. One bed, right?
There's only one bed. Yeah. So
which is usually a romance-only trope.
Yeah. So mine was very easy to pick because there were lots of options. So for Demi, I picked the movie Leap Year.
Mm-hmm. And for Megan, I had to really think about this because I originally was thinking, well, I could do a movie where there's one bed, like The Exorcist maybe, where it's the main location.
Right.
But I really, really tried hard to get the actual trope. And so I decided on Barbarian. And I hope Megan appreciates.
Oh, I did. I did write down, one of my early notes is, I've seen romances with the same intro concept, and this movie has ruined them.
I can't wait for you to dive into that.
Yeah, we'll get into how I am emotionally, mentally, physically, all that.
Yeah,
but
if you have not seen the movie Barbarian and you're a fan of horror, I highly suggest you check it out.
Yes. For horror people.
For horror people.
Yeah.
After you hear Megan's review, you can decide for yourself if you want to watch it.
Yeah. But Demi, get going on get going. That was so demanding. Demi, get going.
Start
Come
talking,
on.
bitch. I don't have all day. Like trying to drink my Twisted Tea.
Demi, why don't you start? I meant to say. Feel free to begin.
I will feel free to begin. Okay. So, I don't think
I'm so excited. I'm like so curious your thoughts on this one.
I want to. Do you love this movie?
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Alrighty, well, we'll.
I mean, I feel like the first like 3 episodes of doing this, I was like, I can give or take these movies.
Yeah.
So we're officially getting into the point where I'm trying to pick specifically movies that I like genuinely enjoy, like. Yeah. Not even just like it's a guilty pleasure or whatever, but I love this movie.
Yeah.
So
And because I didn't want to keep giving you like garbage. Like obviously you might like or hate the movies, but like for me, I'm like, I feel like this is a good movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying my best.
Yeah.
So anyway, Leap Year, that is the title. Director, I looked this up. Anod Tucker. I want to say that's how you pronounce it. Genre, rom-com, and year released 2010. My Snapchat. The Snapchat I wrote was Anna flies to Dublin to propose to her boyfriend. Things don't go to plan, and she ends up on a road trip with Irishman Declan. So to start, I feel like first of all the actors were great. Yeah. I love Amy Adams.
Oh my god, she's the best.
Yeah, there were a lot of great people in this. Adam Scott, of course.
Yeah.
John Lithgow was in this.
Wait, who?
John Lithgow?
Dude, I'm gonna have to Google.
He's like so he's just like, I know him from like a few things, but he was like Anna's dad for like a scene, and I'm like, what is he doing here?
Oh, okay, sorry, I had to look at a face.
Yeah, he's very recognizable.
It's so good that we're doing a movie review podcast and I know all the actors.
But yeah, he's one of those people that you know the face, and he's in a lot of shit. But yeah, it was like random to see him here. But anyway, actors really great. So I'll just start into it. I'm gonna leave you hanging on whether I really like this movie or not.
All right, I'll find out at the end.
So the movie starts with typical rom-com. Anna is a very busy woman. She's very so she's a home stager. Yeah. And if you don't know what that is someone that stages homes to look presentable to rent or buy. So people can be like, oh, this is how I set up. Like very cool.
When we bought our house, it was staged.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because it was a flip. Ours was a flip house, and so it was like a fake television was put in there. It wasn't like staged well, but it was staged.
Anyway, it's a cool job. But Anna's, very like I would say like independent. She's very businesswoman. She knows what she wants. She's very planned, very specific. And she's dating a man named Jeremy, and he's played by Adam Scott, and he's a cardiologist.
Dude, Adam Scott, I feel like just everything he does is so funny.
I know.
And like he just like gets into the character.
I know, he's perfect. And I love that he plays like really great asshole characters.
Yes,
but he also plays really great like good characters.
Yes, exactly. I almost picked for the next movie another one with him as an asshole. And I was like,
God.
no, I'm not gonna.
Well, but I know him specifically from his Step Brothers. Like that was my first big like introduction to his character.
Funny. Okay.
And he was just such a prick in that movie. But anyway, he's an asshole in this, but he's not horrible. Like he's not your typical shitty boyfriend. He's just like
not a present.
Yeah, he's he's busy with his work.
He's a doctor.
Yeah, he's not really thinking about what Anna wants. So that's like his type of guy. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Dee is also
Dee's in it?
Yeah, she plays the friend.
Oh my god, yes, Dee is in it. Oh,
I'm sorry, I don't know her real name, but
no, I don't. Oh,
I knew you would know Dee.
No,
going strong with this one.
Yeah. That's because she's in like one scene.
Well, she was in like one or two scenes, but she's the friend character. Yeah, I thought it was funny that she showed up as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, this scene, she comes up to Anna and was like, "I just saw Jeremy walk out of this jewelry store. Like that only means one thing." So they're all excited. So Anna's expecting a proposal, and they're going to dinner. And right before this, they were trying to get this apartment. Right. Which at first I thought was a job interview because of how like strict and like uppity it was.
Yeah. It felt a little bit like when we did the interviews to adopt our dogs.
Very, very serious, very which is great.
They're like, hey, give us your intentions, what's your 5-year plan?
Yeah. So it was very strange, but it was for a very nice apartment.
Yeah.
I think they were Boston. They were Boston.
Was it Boston?
Like city skyline.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And like old school, like the molding.
Yeah.
The molding.
Yeah. It was very, very nice, very pretty. Yeah. So they were excited for that and they were applying for that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I think at the beginning, the pacing was a little weird. There was a lot of fade outs, but I think that was the time.
Okay. Yeah. 20
so I was like, I hope the whole movie's not like this because it's a bit of a whiplash. But it's not. So it's just like, I think they just had to get shit moving.
It was like, they wanted to do that quick little intro because
they're like,
this is all going on, but this is the main story. Okay.
We need to be in Ireland already. Yeah. So Anna and Jeremy are having dinner. And Jeremy presents her with a box, but inside are stud earrings and not a ring like she expected. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, "Oh, like, do you love them?" She's like, "Yeah."
Dude, it's like this is such a rom-com trope.
Yes.
It really is.
Expecting the proposal and it's not, and then they fall in love with another man. Yeah. So, the usual. So, it's not a proposal. She's upset about it, obviously. She's like at the bar, and her dad, John Lithgow, visits her.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a weird interaction, but I think she said that
it was a very weird interaction with her dad.
Yeah, it was only like 5 minutes. Like,
it was only 5 minutes. They're clearly very strained.
Yeah.
And he like comes up and the first thing he does is like introduce himself to the random stranger sitting next to her at the bar, thinking it was her boyfriend.
And like, he was like late. Yeah. But anyway, so I like forget if she corrected him or not, but she pretty much said that she was like getting engaged to like this man next to her who was like hitting on her. Mm-hmm. And then the dad overheard. He's like, "Oh my god, it's great." He's like, "It's so great that Jeremy finally proposed. I thought you were gonna have to pull what either his mom or his grandmother did."
Yeah,
I forget which one.
I want to say it's the grandma, but
it sounded. I think it was the grandma. Mm-hmm. Anyway, what the grandma did was that she went to Ireland to propose to her partner on February 29th. Mm-hmm. And it's like a tradition where like on leap year, on that date, the women can propose to the man.
The only acceptable time.
The only acceptable time. I wanted to look this up and I forgot. I don't know if this is a real, I feel like it has to be a real thing,
like it
right?
is. Correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a couple months since I watched this.
Mm-hmm.
Did they have like real scenes? Like, didn't they show articles or like real?
They did show, yeah. They did have like she was watching like a video and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a thing.
Yeah, there were a lot of things in this movie. Yeah, if you want to look it up,
I'm gonna.
There were a lot of things in this movie where I was like, are the Irish like this concerned with luck and stuff? Like, I don't know if that's just like, movie.
This is
being extra or not.
Apparently, it's a real thing.
Okay,
but.
I mean, how often people do it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it becomes one of those things that's kind of more like gimmicky, where it's becomes like a cutesy tradition. So because of that, you do it.
She decides, you know what? I'm gonna do it. So after her dad told her like that, she's like, I wouldn't like do that. And then she was like, fuck it, I'll do it because Jeremy is in Dublin right now.
For
Dublin
a conference.
Yeah, for something for doctors. And so
yeah.
So she's like, I'm gonna meet him now. I'm gonna surprise him. I'm gonna propose. It's gonna be great. So they've been dating for like 4 years, which I don't know how old she is. It depends on her age. Like 4 years isn't that long, but also like
I think
if she's older, I think
she's like late 20s.
Yeah, it could be a little long for her. So
yeah,
they've been dating for 4 years. And she's
like the idea that time changes as you get older.
You change so much as a person in your early 20s, you know? So like you change so much, you're dating the same person, and it's like if you guys are still together after so long, like all right, like I'm gonna be this person, like let's get married. But if you're like 34, it's like I'm not changing.
Yeah, right. No,
1 year, you like me? All right, let's get married.
Yeah.
So she's on the plane. They hit some terrible turbulence, cartoony turbulence, and the pilot was like, "We're gonna have to land somewhere random."
Didn't she have like a priest sitting next to her on the flight?
She did have a priest, and she was like pretty much talking to him the whole time. He fell asleep.
Man. Yeah,
and she was like talking to him about the engagement and also that she's a home stager and like what she does. So I would not want to have been next to her.
No.
So they have to land the plane.
Wait, pause. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know what? I feel like I should share this story. My best / worst plane experience. I was in college studying abroad, and for our spring break, we were going to Morocco.
Okay.
So we flew to London first, and then from London to Morocco. It was like the cheapest way to do the flights. So we're flying to Morocco, and I'm in the middle seat of a 3-seater. Okay. My roommate and friend was sitting by the window. She immediately goes to sleep. God bless her. The man sitting next to me is this older man, pulls out his laptop and shows me a PowerPoint slide about Morocco. He this man goes on his flights to Morocco, and every flight has to whip this thing out because it's like pictures he took of Morocco, his house in Morocco.
He had to be like an old dude,
he was like
retired.
He was definitely retired. He was talking about how he was like, oh, my daughter comes to our house in Morocco and she brings her friend and we all smoke weed together and whatever. And I was just like, dude, what is happening?
That is incredible that he took his laptop to show you a slideshow.
Yes. I was like, I just want to relax.
Oh my.
But it was an incredible story. I think I'm also just someone who people are like, she's gonna listen. She's not gonna be rude. She's
have that aura about it. It's I wish I didn't look like a nice person. Yeah. That's literally insane. I would never even think about talking to the person next to me. Like, I don't care how close you are. Like, I'm not gonna talk to you.
No.
Like,
I mean, I've made small talk.
Oh, okay. You caused this. You started it.
I know. It's my own fault. I am this person. I mean, are we surprised?
Yeah. Well, you're a little, more social than I am.
Yeah.
So anyway, she lands, and then she, typical American self is like, I need to get to Dublin, on this day. Like, you guys don't understand. And then the people in the airport were like, tough cookie. Sorry.
Yeah.
So she finds someone that has a boat.
Right.
That could,
because I think they landed in Wales, I believe.
Yeah.
And so that's I don't know geography, but it's nearish. So you gotta get
close-ish.
Yeah, it's in that area of the world. So I guess you could just get on a boat.
Yeah, I don't think it's that far. I think you could take a boat.
Yeah. So whatever. She does.
Yeah, she does, and it's the middle of the storm.
Yeah, it's literally cartoon. It's a cartoon.
It's insane. She's on this rickety boat, and the two guys are like, "We're gonna have to land." She's like, "No, I gotta get to Dublin." And the boat's on the verge of flipping, so they leave her on a coast.
Yep.
And go off. And I think she was it's Dingle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So she's in this area, and it's a very small towny. My dream location, Ireland.
My God, so gorgeous. Yeah.
So cute. But obviously Anna is not about that life. So she's very upset. She goes to the inn, and the inn has a bunch of old men, and you meet Declan. He's the bartender. And she's like, I need a taxi. Can you call me a taxi? And so he gives her a number, and she calls, and it's he picks up in the bar.
Yeah, the bar phone rings and he answers.
And she's like, okay, well, can I get to the nearest inn or whatever? And the inn's also in the bar. So it's a very small, like, and the whole time I would be like just
a wreck.
Yeah, mortified walking into this bar, soaking wet with my suitcase, and American, and everyone's just looking at me, already judging me because I'm American, which is fair. And
I would be so, oh my god, and also being like a woman traveling alone.
Yeah,
I would be a wreck. And like, first of all, she's way braver than me. I would have been like, well, I guess I'm stuck in Wales. I never would have left Wales.
Yeah, backtrack. I would never have. I'm like, well, hey, Jeremy, I'm over here. You can pick me up.
Yeah,
like, I'm
exactly.
Vacationing here, I guess. I would never have gone that far. But Anna, she's a go-getter. Yeah. You know, she's going to propose to her man. So she's in this bar, and she's, you know, they're kind of like, Declan's like just fucking with her.
Right.
And he's like a little mean, but it's fine. Like, whatever.
I mean, because we all like it a little mean.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, she's American. She's very like entitled. You can tell she's kind of like, she's like, I'm from Boston, like, whatever. And so he's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So he sets her up with a room, and she's like, oh, like, can I get some food? Like,
yeah.
Fuck it, whatever, I'll get you food.
Yeah.
So he
hag,
leaves her.
Right? Isn't that what he said he's gonna make her? Hag? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, he said a lot of words, which I was like, calls her Bob for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a thing.
Yeah, they get into that, too.
Yeah. So he goes to make her, like, a sandwich or whatever they called it. And so she somehow destroys the room because she's moving the bed to plug in her phone. The bed hits the cabinet flies, like, she's just breaking shit.
Right.
And then she plugs her phone into the outlet, and all the lights, like, in the town, like the small town, just go out. And then Declan's response is like, women. I was like, what? Okay, yeah, all of us women, like, are just gonna do that to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can tell Declan's just, like, not having it. Like, he's just, like, tired of the world.
Right.
So, the next day, Declan is met by these people that I guess, like, the renter, the landlord, or someone.
I believe it's whoever owns the property that he pays to. Yeah, I believe.
So Declan owes them money, and they're like, "You need to give us 100. Oh my god, 1,000 euro by the end of the week."
Yeah.
Declan's like, "All right." And earlier, like the night before, Anna offered to pay someone 500 to drive her to Dublin.
Yeah.
And so Declan was like, "All right, I'm gonna take you." So he goes into. He just opens the door, and she's naked, like she's wearing a bra and underwear. Dude. No response. He's just like, "Hey, I'll drive you." Yeah. She's like, "Hello."
Right.
I'm like naked. He's like, "Hurry up, get dressed. Like, I'll meet you out front." Like,
it's funny because like when situations like this happen in movies, I'm like, that's so funny and cute. If that happened in real life, that man would not be driving me anywhere.
No, I'm like, I'm not going with that man. No. Like, at all. Absolutely not. But Anna's desperate.
Yeah.
There's not many options in Dingle.
Which also, and I think this is the one town in Ireland we like didn't stop in. We talked to someone from Dingle, but
really?
Yeah, but I don't think it's this small.
Yeah, I mean, we only saw like a small part.
It must be like a village off of Dingle. I think it is a smaller area, so it must be.
It seems very like the same people, the same crowd that come to the just not a lot of businesses, I guess, just a little smaller, very pretty. So Declan has this like little red car.
Classic European car.
Yeah, he's like, all right, like we're gonna go. And so she's like, hands him the suitcase, and he's trying to put the suitcase in. She's like, be careful, that's Louis. And he's like, what? She's like, it was a gift from my boyfriend, a Louis Vuitton. Yeah. And he just like calls the suitcase Louis.
Yeah.
It's like a cute joke
throughout literally to the very end.
Till the very end, he calls the bag Louis. So they get in the car, they start driving, and the whole time, so many people were like, it's bad luck to be traveling on Sundays or Fridays every day, apparently.
Yeah, you get like so many superstitions, like various superstitions, like a black cat.
Yeah, the black cat. And I'm like, is it really like that? Or like, are they that superstitious?
I don't know. It is definitely a stereotype.
I feel like they would say that shit to like dumb Americans to fuck with them.
Yes.
Because I would say some shit just to fuck with people.
I mean, that would be funny. That would be very funny. So I could see that. I have genuinely no idea if that's like a cultural thing or if it's just a stereotype they're playing into or if it's made it up for this movie. I don't know.
I have no idea. So,
but I guess it makes sense to play into that for this because they're like, think, oh, there's the superstition about leap year. So of course they're going to they're gonna tie in superstitions.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I'm like, they have to kind of be pushing it more because of the kind of theme of the movie and stuff. So Declan's driving her, and she's like telling him her plans, and he's like, "Oh, crazy!" He's like, "That's like the stupidest idea ever." Just straight to her face, and I'm like, Declan, you just have to drive this woman to get 500 euros. Like, you don't have to talk to her, you don't have to like be mean to her, but he's just like, just being so mean. Yeah, like, he's obviously had trauma, right?
Which doesn't excuse his behavior.
No, he was like a little too mean. Yeah. At the start, he was just like a little much for me. Eventually, there's like cows blocking the road, and Declan's like, all right, we're gonna have to sit and wait. So he's just sitting, eating a sandwich, and Hannah's like, no, we're gonna move the cows. So she moves the cows and gets them out of the road, and then she steps on shit, and he's like, oh, just like throw them in the wash. She's like, you can't. He's like, you know how expensive these shoes are? Yeah. And then she leans on the car to wipe, and the car just starts rolling down the hill. And no one stops it. It just goes all the way into like the river.
They like try to.
Yeah,
it was literally the most disastrous attempt to stop a car from moving.
I feel like Declan didn't do shit because he's a tall dude. I'm like, this dude's got legs. Like, he could fucking book it and probably get to it. Yeah. And no. So I'm like, you didn't even try that hard to save your car. So the car lands in the river. So they're like, cool, shit. Like, what are we gonna do now? So they're just walking. And Anna hates Declan at this point, which I don't blame her. No. He's been a real piece of shit. He's just making everything worse for her than it has to be. And I don't think it was really her fault that the car fell. Like, you should have put it on,
like, the emergency brake or No, okay. I mean, like, she's definitely a spoiled brat. Yeah. But he's not giving off this vibe of, like, salt of the earth. Like, oh, he's just a, average man or whatever. No, he's giving off, like, I need therapy.
Yeah, he's just, like, being a dick. Yeah. And then this part, I was like, okay, dude, like, this was really mean. So a van drives, and she's like, goes to stop it, and he's like, oh, I wouldn't go in that van if I were you, and she's like, screw you, like, this is great luck, I'm getting my ride, like, see you later, loser. And so the guy opens the van, and he's like, oh, like, this is a nice suitcase, or whatever. Where are you going? And she's like, I'm going to Dublin. And he's like, oh, I'm going there too. And he opens the van, there's like 2 guys in there, which I would have been like, well,
get the fuck out. Yeah.
So that he puts the suitcase in the back and closes it, and Anna kind of turns around to fucking brag to Declan more, and the car just drives with their suitcase. And so they take her whole suitcase, and Declan's just like, I told you. And I'm like, dude, what do you mean? Like, you guys have been walking, she's in heels, of course she's gonna want to stop like a car. Like, so it was like, and maybe she should not have just given a suitcase. But you're also in Ireland, which,
you think it's like, it's not the traditional like European city where you have to be careful about pickpockets or whatever. You hear about that all the time in Italy and London, whatever. But
yeah, this movie. And did you watch the new season of Black Mirror?
I haven't yet. Okay, I've just been. There's been a lot of scary things going on in my life recently.
That's very fair. There's an episode that takes place in Ireland, and I'm like, I can't be having these stories like this. Like, I picture Ireland like the greatest place, which it probably is.
It was great when we went, so
nothing bad ever happens in Ireland. Yeah. But like I'm watching all this shit now. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go to Ireland. I'm scared. Can't be worse than Philly though. So
100%.
And they get separate. I guess Declan keeps walking.
Yeah, somehow they separate.
Even though it's like one road.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in between these, the clips.
I think she just stopped to like cry or something. Like just be devastated, and he just keeps walking with his dick. Yeah. And then she ends up at this like bar. He's in there drinking, and she's like, I need to call, someone. So she's at the payphone. But then she sees in the room at the bar the men who took the suitcase, and they have her bras and shit on their head. Like a cartoon. Why are they doing that?
It makes no sense. Like, if you're gonna steal someone's suitcase to get rid to like sell or whatever, who is going to be like, hey, let's look at her lingerie and put it on our body?
Let's giggle because it's so funny. Like, they're like teenagers. Yes. They were like, I mean, they looked like they were more adults.
Yeah, they definitely were like 30s or something.
Yeah. So that was weird, and she's like, hey, give me my shit back, and they're like, kind of going up to her to like say some shit, I don't know, like try whatever, and then Declan comes in and he's like, all right, enough's enough. And I'm like, Declan, get the fuck out, get out, I don't need your help. So they end up fighting like a bar fight, and so they all get kicked out. So Anna gets her suitcase back, and she's like, oh, that's impressive. I'm like, don't talk to this man. I would be so mad at this man. I would never want to talk to this man again.
He saved her suitcase, Demi.
Oh, I would be so mad. Like, I could have done it myself. I could have done it myself. Anyway, so, they still don't like each other at this point. They get to a train station, and the next train would arrive in 2.5 hours, right? Yes. 2.5 hours.
Yes, a long time.
Remember that.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So Anna's like, all right, I'll wait the bench outside, just chill. Yeah. Declan's like, there's a castle up the hill, maybe like 20-minute walk. I don't know, 30.
I don't know. I think he said something like that. It was
I think he actually said like 15 minutes, but I think visually it was more like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So maybe Declan was lying again, and he tricked her. So he's like, I can show you like, castle or whatever. And she's like, no. And then the dog next to her kind of growls at her and scares her. And she's like, you know what?
That was silly because who's scared of a cute little dog?
I know, it was the cutest like sheepdog.
Like, it was.
So she ends up going to the
castle. But I'll
be
honest with you, if there's a gorgeous abandoned castle, like, I'm going to the
castle. Right.
I mean, even if, okay, I've been through, like, the worst, but I'd be like, okay, it's a castle.
15-minute walk, all right, I can stretch my legs a little longer.
But I would be on my phone making sure I'm properly, like, giving myself at least the 30-minute head start.
Yeah. So they go up to this castle, and Declan starts telling her a story. He tells her a story about this woman, and she's like, this beautiful girl, and she was betrothed. How the fuck do you say that word?
Betrothed.
Yeah, that word.
Betrothed.
She was set to marry an old man, and she didn't love him. Words are hard.
Betrothed. Betrothed.
Beheaded. So she's like falls in love with this knight. I think it was a knight, someone. And then they run away together, and everyone was so, like, enamored by their story. They, like, kept them hidden, and, like, they were traveling, and they ended up, like, I think going, like, to this castle or making this castle and whatever. It's, like, based on them. And so Anna's like, like, you think that's gonna make me, like, fall in love with you or something? Random. And he's like, what?
If every time someone told me, like, a cutesy story, and then you're like, oh, you're trying to make me fall in love with you?
Yeah, after everything he's done, you would think this man is going to take you to this castle and tell you the story and be like, I hope we bang.
Yeah.
So she's in denial, and it starts raining, but first we get really bad CGI rain.
Was it?
Yes, it was just CGI rain. None of them were getting wet, and then they got drenched with leaving the castle, so I thought that was funny. So it starts raining, and they hear, like, the train whistle. And I'm like, they've been up here for 2.5 hours.
2.5.
So they're running. Of course, she's covered in mud, and they get to the train
tracks.
She's
still in heels? Was she carrying them at this point? I don't know.
I think she was still in the heels. I get there, and the conductor's like, oh, I would have held it for you, but everyone's rushing these days. So she misses this train to Dublin, and at this point, I would have fucking killed Declan. Yeah. Like, with my bare hands, out in the countryside, no fucking witnesses.
Yeah.
There was someone, I think, there that was like,
I think it was the train conductor.
The train conductor,
the guy who sold them the tickets.
The only man there.
Yes.
With the dog.
The only person there.
He was like, oh, I have like a B&B bed and breakfast. This was pre-Airbnb. It might be considered an Airbnb now. But bed and breakfast. And so they go, and his like wife, she's like, oh, we have an opening because the last couple, they weren't married, and we can't have that. And so Anna and Declan are immediately like, oh, like, babe.
Yeah, love you, honey, right?
We love each other, which is fair, because, like, where else are you going to go?
Yes.
So now they're pretending to be married, and they get this room, and the bed is so small. It's like such a small room in general, and the bed is so small. And I'm like, oh, yes. Yes. Even though at this point, I still did not like Declan that much.
No.
Like, he was still... So, they're in the room, and I wish I wrote this quote down. I did not write it down. But, like, they want to flip for the bed.
Yes, it's heads, I win. Yeah. Tails, you lose.
Okay. So, Anna doesn't pick that up and flips it. And Declan's like, oh, I get the bed.
Yeah.
He's like, you can sleep in the tub. There's no tub. It's just a shower. So this poor woman's sleeping, like, in the shower. Then she takes a shower, and the shower curtain's, like, you can see the shadow.
Oh, yeah. It's a...
You can get a good...
Classy,
yeah.
Sorry. It's just, like, this is another, like, classic scene you see where there's the clear-ish curtain, and you see the outline
get
of
a little
body,
view.
and you get And then all of a sudden the attraction builds.
Yeah. I mean, Amy Adams is hot, so feel that. And so Declan's like, sick.
Yeah.
I win. So I think in the morning, he offers to make dinner for everyone for some reason.
Yeah, I forget.
Just to be a nice man, I guess.
Yes. Apparently he is one.
Apparently, but yet to see it.
Yeah.
So the woman's like, oh my god, it's so nice. Like, and Anna's like, yeah, he's a chef. Which he's not, right? Like,
he
likes to cook. Yeah.
He cooks.
So
he cooks bar food.
He cooks bar food, yeah.
He's not about to be hired on, like, you know, The Next Best Chef or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a show. Next Best Chef.
It is now. I think you mixed like 3 shows.
Yeah.
In the morning, they're out in the farm. Beautiful farm animals, and they're picking stuff.
Oh, God.
And Anna's like, oh, we need like 3 carrots, but 1 carrot's smaller than the other, which is fair. Like, you want to be the same. Declan's like, breaks it, and he's like, they're even now.
Yeah.
And he pretty much tells her, like, hey, like ease up a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, like, you know, every time my dad said everything will work out, like, it didn't. Like, you know, she pretty much kind of went through shit growing up, and that's kind of
you kind
made
of
into the person she is today.
Yeah, and you see, like, that's why she has a strained relationship with her dad.
Yeah,
that was, like, awkward.
Right, yeah.
Previously.
And so, like, Declan gets a little bit of, like, okay, this is why she's kind of uppity like that. So then he gets a chicken and breaks the chicken's neck in front of the chicken's family and Anna. And, like, I'm a vegetarian, but, like, even if you're not, I feel like that is just such a shocking thing to fucking see.
Yes.
And he was like, well, what do you think, like, the meat comes from? It's, like, fair, but you'd have to murder the fucking animal in front of me.
No.
At this point, Declan's almost in the negatives for me. So I'm like, why would you do that?
That's fair. I do feel like there's a beautiful disconnect in going to the store and never seeing the semblance of the creature that once was. Like, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't feel cruel because I didn't see the cow walking down the street
witnessing.
If I had seen, I don't know how I would eat that chicken later.
Yeah. So it's a lot, but you know. So he does that, and they have a cute cooking montage together. They're, you know, having fun, being cute. I'm like, okay.
I mean, that's a fun moment.
It's a fun moment.
I like that for them.
Yeah, it's cute.
Teach me how to cook. Okay.
For me, like, Declan, like, I don't find him attractive. So I think that's one thing where I'm like, I don't like this man.
Okay.
And then I just think he was just, like, was so mean. But, like, he gets better for me. But, like, still at this point, I'm like, if I was Anna, I'd be so salty still.
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely, like, anytime it's, like, a tall, dark-haired man with a beard, I'm like...
Yeah. And he had the pretty eyes. Like, he was cute. Like, he was, you know, not a bad-looking guy.
It's just
but
that
his
personality was taking away from
he just has no, like, I felt like his face just kind of fell. Like, he's just, like... Like, not to be mean, but, like, he didn't have, like a strong jawline or anything. And it's just, like, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling him completely. Yeah. But he was not the worst. Like,
no.
I know. Hallmark handsome is, like, he was way above Hallmark handsome. Yeah. So.
he's an ordinary man.
Yeah.
He's really, it's not giving off, like,
it's not like fucking Henry Cavill in a bar, you know?
If
like,
it was Henry Cavill doing it, you would be like, this man does not belong here.
What are you doing in Dingle? So, anyway. If I was Anna, I would have been like, I still hate you, I'm not cooking.
Yeah.
So then we get to the scene that's most memorable and the scene I want deleted. It is tied because I both loved it and hated it so much. So
that's very fair. That's fair. But it's one of those ones you're just like sitting through and you're like, I hate this, I love this,
It was god awful. So by everyone I mean Anna, Declan,
there's another couple that's there.
The Italian couple, and then the bed and breakfast owners. The bed and breakfast husband says something to the wife and kisses her, and he's like, I forget exactly what he says, but he's pretty much like, oh, you know, you gotta show your wife you love her, like, give her a good kiss, whatever, which, you know, like, you're old, still show your wife some love, and she's still hot. And then the Italians... had to go further with it, and they were like, oh, we still kiss like it's the first time.
Okay.
And just you can hear it. You can hear it.
That's so gross.
And they're just kissing, and like their friend, like their food in front. I would have lost. I'm like, I'm going to bed.
Dude,
they made out for like a while. And you just hear it.
I feel like there are just people in this world, and obviously this is scripted, whatever. This is scripted. Right. There are people in this world who will make out in front of other human beings, and it's the lack of awareness. It's like, if someone, you can kiss in front of me, that's totally fine, whatever. But if I see your tongue.
No, yeah, it was.
No.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So then, of course, you could assume what was coming, right? Because they're all married couples. Mm-hmm. So then the bed and breakfast husband is like, go ahead, Declan, kiss your wife.
Which is...
And Declan's like, nah. And Anna's like, oh, we kissed earlier. And they're like, kiss her. Kiss her. I can't do the accent. Kiss her.
Please don't.
Kiss her. And Declan gives her a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah. Like, give her a real kiss. And so Declan gives her a kiss, and it's almost as intense as the Italian. It's not as bad.
No, it's just like a slow, like lingering kiss.
Very, very passionate.
Yeah.
And I was like, like, I just felt embarrassed.
Yeah, really?
I felt...
Why, though? They're all married, Demi.
No! Can you imagine if, like, me, Brett, you, Travis... and Doug and Alex were just sitting at the dining table and we just start fucking making out. One at a time! One at a time so everyone could view it. No, it's not. It's uncomfortable. I would not want that.
No.
So in this instance, obviously, like, you're rooting for the romance to happen. So it's like, that's the thing where it's like most memorable. It's like that's their first official kiss, and it's the moment where it's like, oh. But it's also in the worst fucking moment.
Yeah.
Ugh. But anyway, they kiss. It was hot, and then they had to go back to the room with their tiny bed.
Yep.
And Anna had the bed because she realized he tricked her.
Yeah, there was. I think it was like in the morning or something. Yeah. She was like, no.
Right. She's like, no, I'm getting the bed.
Yeah.
So then Declan was like, can I please? Like, she was like, okay. And like, I was like, the tension. I was like, oh, this is a good one.
It was
a good one.
The tension was
yeah, and they were just like laying there, like not facing each other, but slowly like turning towards each other. And I was like, oh my god, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? And they quickly turned away. I was like, oh, okay. I was like sweating. I know. Oh my god.
You built it up because you're like, there's this part of you that's like, oh, right, she has a boyfriend.
Jeremy.
Oh, I hate Jeremy now.
Adam Scott, which I love.
Yeah, because you remember she has a boyfriend, so you're like, well, I don't want her to be a jerk.
Yeah. And the thing is, Jeremy's not bad. Like, he's just not he's not a great boyfriend, but he's not like he has like some of the like very intense rom-coms, right? Where, like, it's like such a stereotype. Like,
yeah, it's like
shitbag dude.
Like in our Guilty Pleasure episode where the guy was married or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's not that situation, but it does just show like when there's a disconnect. Like there is just things there's no passion there.
Right. They're just a couple, you know. You have a boyfriend, but also
hall pass.
Okay, hall pass. We don't approve.
No, we don't approve of
this. We don't approve of that.
Non-consensual. It has to be consensual from all parties.
Anyway, in the morning, Anna is like, I need to get to Dublin. And the bed and breakfast owner's like, can't travel on Sunday. And she's like, and I would be so tired of that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, please. I mean, he's like had a car, but his wife took it, whatever. So she's like, great, I guess I'll be traveling on foot again. So her and Declan head back out. They get caught by a hailstorm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they get caught by a hailstorm and they run into a church. And they go in and Declan's like, Jesus Christ. And then we realize a wedding's happening. And Anna's like, yes, is our Lord. And so they break into this wedding at the part where they're like, is anyone objects? And they're like, no, like, cool. And the bride and groom were cool with them hanging out at the wedding.
Yeah, couldn't be me.
No.
If someone interrupted my wedding ceremony, I would not be like, you want to come and hang out at the reception?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, I mean, we are the
spoiled
American assholes that we were just talking about. We're like, oh, Americans are the worst. Like, yeah, we know.
You know how much money a wedding costs in America? I'm I'm not paying for your plate. No, I don't know
absolutely not. That's another 100 plus.
Yeah. No. So anyway, they're at this wedding. Very cute. It's very cutesy. And then Jeremy, Declan's like upset. Like he kind of just is upset about something. Yeah. And he kind of like being distant and he leaves. And I don't think at this point he says anything. I think he just says like, I forget what Anna says. She says something to him like, oh, why are you like being like this? And he's like, you don't understand. Like, love is bullshit.
Something along those lines where he's jaded and upset.
And then Anna's like, all right, fuck it. So then reception dancing party happens. Declan, I guess, feels a little bad. And he's like, hey, we should dance. And they're doing like a fun, I guess, a traditional type of Irish
like in a
jig.
Circle.
Yeah. Very cute. They're having
music's fun. I was just like,
good time.
Grooving.
I was like, this is real cute. You know, Declan and Anna are getting like, they're looking at each other. I was like, oh, I like this. And then the worst happens.
Someone random at the wedding, so it wasn't Declan, but
no, it was like a man,
like picked her up and was spinning her
a lot.
Yeah, which first of all, if anyone was spinning me that much, I would be like, I'm tapping out.
No, and at one point it looked like a mannequin because of how much he was. I'm like, is this a real? It might have been a mannequin. I don't know. He was spinning her a lot.
Yeah, probably, honestly.
Her fucking giant ass heel flies off her shoe and hits the bride straight in the face. And then, like, Anna's like, I'm so sorry. And the bride's like, at least it wasn't the groom or something.
Which couldn't be me saying that. No. I mean, no offense to the love of my life, but I, on my wedding day, would rather him get hit in the head.
And it was like a mark. It was a big mark.
I don't want a mark on my head.
She could have died.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
So, and this was a stranger. I would have had them arrested. And so Anna, of course, being in Anna's shoes, I would have drowned myself in the fucking lake outside because I would, oh my God.
The level of embarrassment would be catastrophic.
I would not have even approached the bride. I would have ran.
Yeah.
It would have been gone. Yep.
Yeah. And then she does the next
person. Yes. So she, that happens. And then Anna's just trash. She's drunk on this shoreline, whatever.
No, you missed it. She is comforting the bride.
Yeah.
And she spills the wine all over her.
Oh my God.
She spills red wine all over the bride.
I forgot she spilled the wine all over.
Horrible. I was like, oh, it couldn't get worse. It did.
Yep. So Anna, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yep. It was like so much happening. I'm like, oh yeah, it couldn't get worse.
It did.
And it did. That's just Anna.
Yeah. And then she's drowning her sorrow in the lake.
Yes, which is fair. Declan goes up to her and she's so drunk. She's like kind of like leaning on him. She's like, I hate you. But it's, you know.
Yeah, like not really.
Yeah, and like she throws up on his shoes. Oh, God. A typical drunk rom-com scene. Yeah. Someone vomits. So she, I guess Declan takes her and they sleep on like a bench near the bus stop.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine sleep. I wouldn't have been able to sleep on
No, I don't know how he slept sitting up and then Anna's sleeping like on his lap.
Yeah.
I don't know how he was sleeping. No. So Anna gets up and like leaves and it makes you think she's just getting on the bus and heading out. And you're like, oh my God, Anna, like,
come on, man.
Even me, I was like, you're just gonna leave him just like that? Like
you've had so many moments.
You had so many moments.
You're obviously in love.
It's been 2 days. Just gonna leave this man after 2 days? Declan wakes up to the bus leaving and he's like, shit, like she just left. He's looking very sad and Anna's walking out of the coffee shop with cups of coffee that are not filled with coffee. She's just holding it like a toddler.
Which doesn't make sense. I feel like that's the easiest thing in the world. Just fill them with water.
Yeah. And it's so funny because for our Christmas Hallmark movie drinking game, one of them is like cups with no drinks in them.
Yeah.
And ever since that, I just realized how many cups just don't have anything in them in these. I guess it makes sense in case they spill it.
It's so distracting.
Put something in it. Just put water.
You don't, or even put like a little like glue a washer on the inside so it has a little weight to it.
Yeah, nothing. So it's a little cartoony.
I don't know. They should hire us, obviously. Yeah, we know everything. Come on.
It was a little distracting. But anyway, she approaches him. Declan tells Anna about Callie, who was Declan's fiance, and she ended up leaving him for his friend.
Yeah, his bestie.
Yeah, so the three of them bought the bar or opened the bar together. and then she just fucking leaves with his best friend.
Yeah.
And she still has his ring, which is his mother's ring, which is insane. I'm like, so this person's horrible. This is like the most. At least leave the ring. Like,
I literally.
That's insane.
Can't imagine.
Like, this poor man. So now I'm like, okay, I know why Declan's like this. Because all his closest friends and partners just, like, fucked him over. He doesn't have his mother's ring or anything. I'm like, fuck that chick. So anyway, and she's in Dublin, which is also kind of like why he was like, fuck Dublin, it's the worst.
Yeah, because one person ruins the whole city.
One person ruins the whole city of Dublin. So they finally get there. They take the bus together. Anna tries and give him the money, and he's like, no, which, just take the money. He's like, I just want the coin that we flipped to the bed, which is cute.
Yeah. And like, at some point, is this the point where, no, there was like a previous point where she learned what Bob meant. He was like, oh Bob. Because
he kept calling her Bob, and it's like money.
Yeah.
That was at the train. The train dude was like, oh, it's something Bob.
Like, and she was like, oh, that's why. So he's been calling me Bob because I'm his paycheck.
Yep. Which, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are.
Yeah.
They're having like this like moment, and like Declan starts to walk away, and he turns around. He's like he's gonna tell her something, and then Adam Scott, Jeremy's like, Anna, hey girl, and like walks in, and then it's like awkward, even though it shouldn't be awkward.
Yeah, right. Because it is her boyfriend of 4 years.
Yes, it is her boyfriend, and he's like, oh, hey, like, who are you?
Thanks, man.
And Anna's like, oh, like he drove me or whatever. He's like, oh, like great. He's like, did you tip him? Like, and it's like a little awkward, but. Yeah. Jeremy doesn't know. He's just like, oh, this is the dude who drove my partner here.
There hasn't been sexual tension between my partner and this person for the past 3 days.
This random Irishman. Jeremy is like, I just been thinking, why aren't we married? And just proposes to her in the lobby of some building.
Yeah.
I guess it's wherever
Where's the hotel is?
The convention?
I don't know.
He proposes to her, and so Anna's like, she's like hesitant. Declan leaves immediately. And then she's like, yes, like,
yeah,
I'll marry you.
I mean, of course you're going to say that if there's people around. Even if I was like, I'm definitely not marrying this person, if someone proposed to me in public, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to...
I'll break your heart in 5 seconds when we're alone.
On the elevator.
Yeah, but I'm not getting this filmed and posted on TikTok.
Yeah, because there's like a bunch of people filming it. So she accepts it, and it's just like funny to me because the movie makes it seem like it's been a lot longer that Declan and Anna have been together. Yeah. And I think it's only been like 2 or 3 days.
It really hasn't been very long.
Not long at all.
No.
I guess it's the Irish charm.
But they've also been spending 24/7 together. And, you know, there's like tension. And he's attractive.
Obviously, Declan's got a lot of issues going on. Yeah. He told her probably the biggest thing. But they don't know anything about each other. No. Like, but it's a rom-com. So I'm like, I'm letting it slide because that's the norm. What, a week maybe at most, like
it's like what we talked about with the one movie that like they do tend to brush over little thing, like quote unquote little things. So like, you know, a 4-year relationship.
I just think it's funny, but I mean it's such a norm thing in rom-coms. But anyway, don't just leave your man of 4 years for an Irish man. And I'll when we get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it. But anyway. They go home to Boston. They got the apartment, which Jeremy brought up earlier. They're like, oh, we got the apartment, whatever. So they're having like a welcome party or a housewarming party. Yeah. And Jeremy's like, so I proposed because the people, you know, for the apartment were kind of weird about non-married people. So I was like, well, yeah, I'll marry, you know, we'll get married and like, fuck it. So it was kind of like I have to get married kind of thing, which was really weird of Jeremy to just say out loud.
Yeah,
like,
don't admit that.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that like shows that Jeremy just
is not present.
Yeah, he's just like not, whatever. Right. And so that was very upsetting to hear. And
for Anna, not for you personally.
Yeah.
You're like sobbing.
For me personally, Adam Scott, why would you? So then Anna... This was something that was said earlier randomly. Declan was like, if your house was on fire, what's the first thing you would grab? It was random. He just said out of nowhere. And he pretty much said, like, oh, I take my mother's ring, which we find out that
he doesn't have.
Shows how much he loves and cares for that ring. Oh, so sweet. Anyway, Anna pulls the fire alarm, and Jeremy's grabbing all the electronics, which... Yeah. Me too, bitch. I'm taking my iPad. I'm taking my phone. Like,
I've thought about this a lot. Like, not because of this movie, but just in general, like with house fires or whatever,
mm-hmm.
I do not know. All I could ever think about grabbing would be my dogs
mm-hmm.
and my phone.
Yeah.
And then obviously, should my husband be home, I would be like, wake up. I can't imagine like running and grabbing anything. I want to get out of that house as soon as possible. So I understand grabbing expensive things like electronics, but I think I just wouldn't have. I need like a go bag or something.
Right.
I need to be ready for my.
Be prepared. and they're both like wealthy people, so it's also like you could just rebuy that shit.
Yeah.
But me, I'm not wealthy.
No.
But also, I have 4 animals, so I'd have to fucking double hand cats, and Brett's gonna have to double hand. Yeah. So
and then you're not gonna be able to grab the.
I would have no room for my electronics, unfortunately.
No.
But anyway, Jeremy grabs his shit. Anna's just like, oh, epiphany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He only cares about electronics.
Yeah, she realizes she, has
to
everything
be
she
fair,
wants.
he's not really like paying attention to her.
No,
he's like yelling like, honey, grab this
way. He's telling her to grab like stuff. 4 electronics.
Yeah.
They could just rebuy. So, you find out Jeremy's just really sucks in the last like 20 minutes. It's like, this dude's not great at all. And it's like, I want to say it's like a week or 2 later.
Yeah, it's
his
not
bar's
very
like popping,
long.
like there's a lot of people there, activity. And then he's in the kitchen and someone's like, hey, like someone said your chicken's dry. And this was a joke earlier on that Anna said, I think.
Yeah.
And he's like, who the hell? A lot of back, connections.
Yeah.
So he's like, who the fuck said this? And he goes out and he's like, who's saying my chicken's dry? And Anna's like, oh, I did. And so she pretty much gives him a proposal, and says, I don't want to make plans with you, which was cute, because his whole thing is like making no plans, and she's all about making plans. He walks away.
Dude, literally just walks away. It's such a cringe
He's
moment.
so annoying, and I knew what he was doing. I knew what he was doing, but like, why would you do this to her? He walks away, and it's like, this bar's full. Everyone's just looking at Anna. She's like,
so embarrassing.
I guess he said no, and walks out, and I would have. She goes to the cliff, and I really thought, I was like, she might jump, because I would have. Because that is mortifying. I would have been so embarrassed this whole, like, past few weeks. I would have been so embarrassed so many times. And that just would have been the fucking icing on the cake. So she's at these beautiful cliffs, and she's just, like, I don't know, crying.
Yeah.
And then Declan's like, where the hell, like, are you going?
Yeah.
It's fucking Irish accent.
That was a great Irish accent. I was impressed. Wow. You could do that professionally.
Yeah, you think so? Next episode,
we're the
only accents. So Declan presents her with the ring, and he's like, I don't want to not make plans with you. I want to make plans with you. And proposes to her, and I'm like, it's sweet, but it hasn't been that long. But I'm trying to like not let them like, it's a very beautiful proposal because it was on the cliffs.
Listen, you just said earlier, if you're in your 30s and you're together for like a year or a week. No.
To be fair though, like, you would be in Ireland. He owns a nice bar next to the cliff, so it's not.
Yeah, he's got an Irish accent. That's plus point.
He could always be a serial killer, but I will take the chance. Know. Mm-hmm. So of course she says yes. They kiss. The old men are watching from afar.
Obviously,
I forget what they fucking said.
Oh, I'll tell you. They say more superstitions. It's good luck to get engaged on whatever, blah, blah, blah. They have the car again, and they're bantering, and they've Louis the
strap
baton.
Because they're just, like, traveling.
Yeah.
Ireland.
And they're, like, they've got sandwiches or something.
Yeah.
Being all cutesy.
It all connects to
the
start.
Yeah.
That was leap year. So, love interest, which would be Declan.
Yeah.
I did say pass.
Ugh.
This was hard. It was very in between, because I was like, I kind of like him, but I also like, I don't.
You're so picky.
I think like I wouldn't just smash him. I think I have to like
get to know him,
and he seems like a marriageable person. Like, you would marry him, like eventually. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, like, pass.
Yeah.
But it was very close. He was, he wasn't bad. He really wasn't a bad love interest. Side character, Jeremy, I would also pass. I love Adam Scott, but he's just, by the end of it, I'm like, I'm tired of this man. Yeah. Like, he's just annoying. How likely are you to fall in love with the situation? I said 8 because, I mean, it's a pretty good situation. Yeah. You're in Ireland. You're like, even if you're like trying to get somewhere at a certain amount of time, you're still like viewing the views.
Yeah.
And, you're learning about the culture and the one bed thing. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see myself falling in love. I don't know if I'd say yes to a proposal and knowing him after 3 days, but I'd consider it.
Yeah.
Would you recommend? I would not recommend Twin on Romance.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't like a bad movie. But I don't know, it was very rom-com. So like I don't think
if you're not into rom-coms, it might not be your thing.
Yeah. So my final rating was like 2.3 hearts. I know, I rated it low. And I wrote here, I wish I could like this movie more.
I wish I could like you more.
Because it had all the ingredients, but I just think it was very slow. Like, until the bed and breakfast, like the one bed scene, like I'm like, this movie's slow. Like, I was not laughing. I was not having a great time.
Dude.
And I love Amy Adams. So I was like, oh, this is great. And I was not feeling it at all. But then from there on, I really enjoyed it a lot more. And I wish it had that energy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, I was like, not.
Okay.
So I know.
Listen,
I rated it low.
That's fine.
But it wasn't. It wasn't bad. It's not one small hitch. Okay. Yeah. It's not that. So you saying you really enjoy this one, like, I could see it.
Which, by the way, there's a whole community on TikTok who loves One Small Hitch. I just want to let you know.
No.
I'm sorry that it wasn't a 5-star rating, but now we'll get to talk about the trauma I experienced watching Barbarian. So, Barbarian is horror. A
little bit of comedy.
Okay. Director is Zach Gregor. Released in 2022. Which is always nice when you have like the newer ones because it's like really nice cinematography, all that kind of stuff. That was beautiful.
Which I feel like all these movies have been pretty old. So
we've been doing a lot of early 2000s, late 90s movies. So the snapshot that I wrote, this is my attempt to
good luck.
To give a cohesive snapshot without giving anything away, which was I haven't done in the past, but I was trying it for this one. This one was so hard to have a snapshot for.
Yeah. Well, where for trailers and stuff, it was very much like, it just seemed like it was like
probably what I'm about to say.
Yes.
Which is woman checks into her Airbnb but discovered a man is already booked there. Strange happenings lead her to a creepy basement where murders clearly occur.
Yeah. So, but they barely showed like basement stuff. Like, it was very much like you're getting an idea of like, okay, like Airbnb, like obviously something's creepy with this guy, and like that's it. And so when people started seeing it, they were like, this movie is fucking wild.
They really, really lean into the creep factor of everything that's about to happen.
Yeah.
So, first of all, it opens on this creepy house, and immediately I was like, I hate this. And then, of course, she's like, it's an Airbnb, and I was like, not an Airbnb, horrible.
And it's the only nice, well-kept house in,
it's
like,
the only, there's no light. No, it's fully black. You can't see anything. So all you see are there's no lights anywhere. And I wrote down, why are there no lights on the street? Because why are there no lights on the street? So she gets to her Airbnb.
Yeah.
She is trying to get in. She does the code. She enters it wrong. She does the code again. It opens. There's no key. She's calling. No one's picking up.
And it's like late at night.
It's lately, like pitch black. Can't see anything else around. So she goes back to her car. She's looking stuff up. She's calling whatever. And then she sees that this light that I mentioned had gone on. And so she goes back up to the house and just starts banging on the door. And then, like, the downstairs light comes on. You see that there's a man there. So basically, the guy is like, what are you doing here? And she's like, this is my Airbnb. He's like, no, this is my whatever, like, happy house or something. I don't know. There's some other thing that they were using.
Yeah, like Verbo type of alternative.
Yeah. And so they're like comparing them and showing that they both had booked for this time. And so he was like, listen, just come inside. Like, you don't want to be out on this street, like out here in your car. And I was like, oh, I would feel safer in my car personally.
It's a very tricky situation because the neighborhood is horrifying.
Yeah. But you don't know that until the next day.
But you can tell a little bit when she's there. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
tell a little bit. It's like, cause it's dark, but it is like not great.
Yeah.
But it's also like late at night, and then it's like this man. It's like, should I go in?
Right.
And it's very just not a good situation at all.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So then he's like being really nice. And then he's like, "Oh, your name's Tess. That's a pretty name." And I was just like, "What?" It's not like her name was like Aurora or something. It was like Tess. Like, that's just a regular name. And no offense to all the Tesses. not that I don't find your name pretty. It's just that that was such a line.
She was pretty herself.
She was pretty. He was flirting. And then he was just like, do you want wine? Do you want tea? I'm like, man, why are you offering wine? That's so weird.
So what I love about this, so the actor is Bill Skarsgård.
Yes, Jackie told me. She was like, do you know that he's the main, the clown in It? And I was like, no.
Yeah, I knew you
did not know. It has like makeup all over his face. I don't know that.
Yes, yeah. He's like in a few things, but he's mostly known for like horror. Mm-hmm. So I read that the director was like, just act normal. Like, don't try to be weird because people will assume. And it's so true because I'm like, I don't trust. The second he opened the door, I'm like, I don't trust this fucking dude. And he just has that aura about him where I'm like,
something a little sketch.
Yeah, and he's like, do you want some tea? And I'm like,
no, absolutely not.
I'm not gonna accept anything from you.
Absolutely not. They do like all these like very dramatic like moments where like I'll go into it in a little bit, but they like every time she goes to the bathroom and they show her like locking the door and all these things.
Yeah.
So she's like trying to call for a hotel and she's like, they don't have any rooms. And so he's like, oh, there's a convention in town, so there's not gonna be anything. So I was like, that sounds like a line.
I know.
And so then he goes out to her car and gets her stuff and brings it in, and I'm like, you let this man go to your car? What if he? So I'm like, he cut the lines to her car. She's gonna go in there in the morning. It's not gonna turn on.
Every worst possible situation is
exactly. So basically, it's decided she's gonna stay there for the night, and then they were gonna complain and get their money back. And he was like, I'm a gentleman, you gotta take the room. And as like for me, I would take the room because I want to lock the door.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, no, I'll sleep on the couch. Like, absolutely not. I'm hiding. Like, I would lock myself in the bathroom. Yeah. If that was the different. Like, no, absolutely not. She goes into the bedroom and she like sees his wallet sitting out and she like takes a picture of his ID, and I was like, yes, girl,
smart,
absolutely. And she's like puts on the lock, does the lock again, like it zooms in, and I'm thinking, looking at these locks, and I'm like, these are weak locks. These are some weak locks. That is a credit card will open that lock. But whatever. So she gets changed. He's like, listen, we're gonna have to wash the sheets. I couldn't find any extras.
Because she's very like
cleanly.
Yeah. She's like, I'm weird about sheets. And he's like, oh, I'll wash them.
I mean, fair. I wouldn't really want to sleep in some random dude's sheets either.
Right, fair.
He's washing the sheets, and then they just like have this cut scene of the washer going, and I was like, ooh,
it's so creepy. Like the whole beginning is just so eerie.
It's just so
like I felt like even like watching this again, like my heart just anxiety.
So then he has the wine bottle out, and he's like, I didn't want to open it. I saw you didn't drink your tea. I want to open it in front of you. He's like rambling, like nervous, like and I'm like, if it didn't have the ominous music playing, I would be like, oh,
yeah, very sweet of you.
Aw.
Okay, whatever.
Sure. But no, I'm like, this man is trying to earn your trust.
No. And his name's Keith, right?
Yeah, Keith, his name is Keith. So he's being like super respectful, and they're like chatting. She's talking about her interview the next day, and that she had worked on or that the woman she was interviewing with had made this documentary, and he's like, I've seen that. And she was like, no, you haven't. And then he like proves that he's seen it, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I know. It's like,
because I was like, oh, that's a line. Wait, no, he's definitely seen it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know who you should interview? Me. And I was like, shut up. What was he about to say? So it turns out he's part of the founding members of the Lion Tamers, which I guess is a band.
Like a jazz kind of group.
Yeah.
Because they're Detroit?
Yes.
Are they Detroit? Okay.
Yeah. So he's in the band, and I could, like, at this point, I could see why she's feeling comfortable. Like, he's in a well-known band. He clearly, like, he's scouting places for whatever their next adventure.
Yeah.
He is, like, making like conversation with her, whatever. I could see getting comfortable with him. And then you cut scene to the laundry room, and the dryer is the laundry's done, but they haven't put it in the dryer yet, so it's just like staying there. So then it's like they're drinking wine, they're talking, like they're having fun. And then they are setting up the bed, and he does this like really goofy thing with the duvet where he like puts his whole body in the duvet, and he like shakes and jumps and like puts it in, and I'm like, at this point, like, that was so funny. I would have really liked him.
I know. It's like, it's just such a crazy situation. Because I'm like, I would think he's cute. I'm like, oh, this guy's still like being nice. Like,
yeah, he's being goofy. Like, he's not afraid to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
That would like,
That's so bad. I was just like, oh, he's nice and goofy.
Dude, literally, the bar is so
we know anything about this man.
No, really. Well, he's in a band, okay?
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's jazz. It's cool.
So then she goes to bed and she doesn't lock the door. And I was like, lock the door, ma'am. So then, of course the door opens. I hated that. And then he's like, he's like on the couch moaning.
Yeah.
And whatever. And I was like, what? And so then she goes out there and she's in the hallway and she's like, the door like just closes.
The back door, the basement
closes. Oh, yeah. And then I was like, are they not alone? Who else is there? Is the house haunted? Yeah. Is this a haunting movie? Because I obviously have no idea what is going into.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she's like confronts him and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, don't be weird.
Yeah.
And so then she goes in the room and she like closes the door and locks it, whatever. She makes it to morning. I was shocked. I was like, she's going to die.
I know.
Couldn't believe it. Her car probably won't work. I wrote, no, her car works.
Everything's normal.
Everything's normal.
He writes a little note for her.
Yeah, there's a cute little note, even though she was weird and standing over him.
Yeah.
As he was sleeping and whatever. So I was like, this is a sketchy place. You see the town, like this town is wrecked.
Yeah.
It is not good. Like the houses are all like destroyed.
Yeah.
I was like, I would not go back here.
No.
It was not.
And it's mostly like abandoned, it looks like.
Yeah, there wasn't really, you didn't see anybody there. So then she's like going to her interview and she's sitting there and she's like zooming in on his picture, his like ID picture. I was like, at first I was like, oh, that's smart. She's Googling him.
Right.
No, she's just looking at it.
Just
it's
like he's cute.
Yeah, she's just looking at this adorable. First of all, no one looks good in their ID pictures.
Right.
Like, I just imagine someone taking a picture of your ID picture and zooming in.
We're going to post on this.
Yeah. Dude, you're like 80s boy picture.
I literally look like a 50-year-old, like, grandma. Like, it is atrocious. Yeah. So, I mean, So I have this crush on Bill Skarsgård. Okay. I just think he's cute. Like he's very just kind of strange looking.
Yeah, he's got a unique face.
Yeah, he's very unique looking. But I just think he's cute. And his ID photo was cute. But I'm like, girl, like, because I would have been looking shit up. Yeah. Like what I thought she was gonna be doing. She's just like, oh, cutie, I'll see him later. And I'm like, girl, chill. Relax, okay.
But like, and I do get her being like into him in that moment and whatever, but
it's just funny.
So she does this interview. It seems to go really well. The lady at the end is like, wait, where are you staying? And she was like, do not go back there.
Yeah.
And she was just like, no, it's like fine. Like I've got a roommate or whatever. And I was just like, girl, if someone said to me, I'll run. I'll run.
Yeah. I would have been like, yo, Keith, like, get out. If you're a normal person, like, you should probably leave too.
Right. If like the most I would do is I would make sure I had his phone number. If I didn't, I would go back there, I would get his phone number, and then I would leave.
Yes. Leave my phone number, like, a note.
Yes.
Like, text me, like, I'm going to try and find a place. Like,
this is scary. So, then I wrote down my hypothesis. So my hypothesis was he owns the house, and this is all a ploy, because no one would ever book that place. That was, like, who goes, no.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, that's what you would assume because it's nice and well kept.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he be this type of person that's like a killer, like hanging out in his house, like, oh, I accidentally booked. It's like, okay, no, funny story.
Right. Like, it's so strange.
Yeah.
So then there's this like creepy man who starts chasing her. He's like, hey, little girl.
A homeless dude.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, that's very scary. He is not approaching her in a way that feels good. He's screaming, hey, little girl. I was like...
And the worst part is, like, when you see her, like, starting to get out of the car, you can see him just running in the distance. Yes. Oh, I hate that shit. Yes. I was like, what is that? Who is that man?
So she finally gets in the house, and he's like, get out of that house. Get out of that house. Well, obviously, I'm not getting out of that house.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely not. So she's like, I'm getting out of here. Like, she starts packing all her stuff up. Then she takes a couple deep breaths in the bathroom, and she's like, okay, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. Like, she clearly has this moment where she's going to go to the bathroom and like unwind. So she goes to the bathroom, but there's no toilet paper. So she's like, I have to go down to the basement and get the toilet paper. So she like looks all over the house. It's not there. It's in the basement. Whatever. So she goes down into the basement, and I wrote, don't go to the basement.
Yeah.
That's like 101. Never.
I'll drip dry.
Yes.
I'm not doing that.
Yes, absolutely not. So then the door closes behind her, and it's locked. And I Like, no, absolutely not. I would be breaking that door down. Yeah. I would kick that door in the handle until it broke open. I am not.
She was way too calm for that. I don't know this house.
So she was just like, I'll just wait till like he gets home, basically. And then there's this moment where you realize that he can't get into the house because she has the key.
Right.
So she's like looking around, exploring this space. It's a sketchy basement. You know, it's like a regular unfinished basement. Then all of a sudden you see that there's like this hole in the wall with a rope coming out of it. And I was just like, no. And it's a capital letters, secret door. Couldn't be me. I would not go in. No. Absolutely not. So then she does something really smart. She puts a mirror up and she props it and she uses a light and she looks down and she sees that there's this long corridor and there's another door at the end of the corridor. So this is the point where I would be peeing my pants.
Yeah.
I would not be okay.
Because it was just like it's like a sketchy, unfinished, unlit corridor.
Yes.
Like, it didn't look nice.
And it's clearly a secret door.
Yeah.
Like, whatever's down there is bad. And then I would be so afraid that this creepy rope door would close behind me, just like the last door did. And now you don't have access to the outside world. He's never getting back in there again. Yeah. Goodbye, you're dead in this hallway.
Yep.
So she goes down, and then she sees that there's this horrible little room with a mattress and a pee-pee bucket and a camera and a bloody handprint.
Yep.
Atrocious. So I'm like, this is his murder room.
I think there was like some chains too on the bed.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is like his murder room that he takes women to and murders them in. So then she like runs out. She's freaking out, of course.
Yeah.
Keith comes home. She's like banging on the glass, and they have to work really hard to get the window open because it's like jammed or locked or whatever, and or just stuck. And she gives him the key. He unlocks the door. She's like trying to get out of there. She's like, I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here. And he's like, no, don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave.
Yeah, he was like being weird. And he's like, oh, like I'll check it out. I'll go look.
Right. And I was just like, sir,
why aren't you believing me?
No, exactly. Yeah. And this is, I mean, I'm like, he's playing her. Like, he's trying to get her to come down there.
Yeah.
Obviously. So he's like, don't, like, it's not weird that I'm, like, skeptical about this thing that you're saying you're seeing. He was like, I just want to go. Like, just do me a favor. Stay here while I go check it out. And I was like, wouldn't be me. Like, bye, Keith. I'd be gone.
I would have left. I don't care who it is. I don't care how cute he is. I'm out. I'm like, okay, you do you.
She goes down there because she's like freaking out and she's like, oh, where is he? He hasn't. And I was like, I wouldn't want to go down there, but at least I would grab a weapon. Like, I would grab something or anything. And so she goes down there and she's like, Keith, Keith, Keith. And she goes down and he's not there. And then you see that there's another door.
Yes.
There's another freaking door. And then you hear in the distance, he's screaming, help me, help me, help me. And I'm like, this man is playing her. Call the cops again.
Yes.
What are you doing?
I don't understand because, like, at the start, she was being pretty smart about stuff, you know? And was like, oh, yeah, like, do this. And then she just got, like, dumber. I'm like, why would you? What are you doing? Like,
she got comfortable and complacent and all that. And I should have mentioned earlier, she did call the cops after the man was chasing her and screaming after her.
Yes.
So she did call the cops and they were like, we don't have anybody to come see ya. Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll be there in like forever. And so she was just like,
the cops are like useless.
Yeah. And so, you know, she's going down under these stairs. Her phone's not going to work underground, which is not going to be great. There's iron gates. There's cages. I'm thinking to myself, I would only do this for someone I actually know and loved. Like, the only thing that would bring me down this sketchy thing, it would not be for a man I've known for 12 hours.
Nope. I don't think it'd be for anyone.
No.
Sorry, Brett. Sorry, Megan. I'm out.
Thanks, dude.
I told you what I saw, and if you're stupid enough to go look yourself, it's done.
Fair enough.
So
I...
And it's like pitch black. Like, she has her phone, right?
Yeah, her phone light. And then he's crawling at her. It scared the shit out of me. He's crawling at her full speed. And he's like, someone else is down here. They bit me. Come this way, come this way, come this way. No, they were that way. Like, she's trying to turn around and run. He's like, no. So he's like leading her somewhere. He's clearly taking her out. And then, oh my God, there is someone else. And they just smashed Keith's head into the wall until it exploded. I couldn't believe up until that exact moment he was enemy number one. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that scene took me out. I was like,
dude,
what?
I was like, what? I was so scared of him.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh my God, Demi, I don't think this podcast can continue.
Well, tell him what we saw. Tell him who.
So, sorry, the someone else is this naked creature woman, who's fully, like I said, fully naked, scraggly hair, horrible like teeth,
like
just
deformed face.
Yeah, very scary looking. That it cuts to her face, past his face, and then it goes black.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I do watch these with Jackie because I can't watch scary movies alone. And so she paused it and she's like, let's go make lunch. And I just I laid my whole body down on the couch and I was just moaning. I was just like fake crying. I was like, this is horrible. My whole body feels horrible.
Yeah, that scene was,
dude.
It just, and the way it cuts, I was like, oh my God.
It was heinous. It was a crime.
Can never expect that.
No. And then we eventually get back to watching this movie that I was like, I never want to look at this movie again. Let's just end it. This was a good short. This was only 20 minutes in.
Yeah,
it had just started.
Yep.
So then the scene changes and there's this dude in his car and it's what's his face, Justin Long, who we've all seen before at some point in like rom-coms and stuff. Actually,
rom-coms, yeah.
I think so, isn't he?
He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know him a lot in like horror movies.
Oh, okay, he is.
But he's everywhere. I mean, if you don't know his face, like
you look it up and you'll know his face. So it turns out that like he's the worst, and he's like on the call with his, like he gets a call from his agent or whatever, and they're like, you're basically being accused of like sexual assault for this woman.
Yes. It was like a new show he was starting, like a pilot episode with
and
this woman.
The woman had said that, trigger warning about sexual assault, he does say that he has raped her. He well, it is said that is the claim that is coming forth. Yes. And he's denying. So he decides, like, basically everything's going wrong for him. Like, he is going to run out of money. Everyone's dropping him. No one wants to deal with him. He leaves town to stay in his shitty investment property, which, lo and behold, is the Airbnb that's in Detroit. And then he's, like, washing his face on the phone. And someone's like, what's that noise? He's like, I'm washing my face. I was like, what? Who does that? And then I was thinking, I wrote that down. And then yesterday I washed my face while I was on the phone. So I was like, oopsies. So he doesn't even tell his mom he's in Detroit. And that was like so lame. He goes and hangs out with his friend and he like uses the F slur. And I was like, oh, you're trash. So you're like getting more and more of these nuggets of like, he's not a great guy. And so he's hanging out with his friend and the friend's like, yo, be honest with me, like, what happened with this girl? All this stuff is coming out, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, listen, I'm just really persistent. Like, I just, you know.
Saying no, but then, you know.
Yeah. So he ends up getting really drunk, and he calls the girl and leaves her this voicemail, and, like, very incriminating. Then he's like going to the bathroom and he looks over and this is the second time you see that there's a toothbrush on the floor and I do not understand. This was like definitely a red flag for this Bill Skarsgård's character, Keith, because like who puts their toothbrush on the floor? That's
and it was
ridiculous.
An electric one.
Yeah,
so it was like stood up and it was still on the floor.
So it needed a place to be propped, I guess.
But also like, so what is his name? Justin Long's character? AJ. So, like, he gets to the place and he's like, who the hell's in my Airbnb? Like, what the hell? He's like, you left their shit here. And he's just like...
He's going nuts.
Like, no red flags or anything. He's like, they left all their garbage. Like, who the hell is here?
Yeah. And so he like, calls and he finds out that apparently the way that, like, whatever management service he uses, they, clean it after a guest has been booked.
Yes.
So they don't clean it, like, after. So you never know if, like, someone trashed the place or whatever.
And this was... how long ago since the last, because he was like, someone's here and they were like, no, your last booking was like
weeks ago,
like a week.
It was something ridiculous. And so then he's like, he finds her laptop, Tessa's laptop, and then he puts I was like, well, who puts their first and last name as their laptop name? It couldn't be me. And then he tries to guess the password. I was like, why would he think he knows the password? So then he takes the Mac and like throws it like it's a frisbee.
Such a dick.
Ridiculous. He decides to go down to the basement and he grabs a weapon at least. And then he sees like all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, call the cops, bro. Call the cops. But no, of course not. He instead finds out that there's this secret room in his basement and he wants to find out if it affects the square footage of his home. I'm like, bro.
Because he wants to sell it, right? To try and get money back.
Yeah, he's gonna try to sell this house, and so he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I'm gonna get so much money for this place."
Like corner, and he's like,
dude. As if anyone would want this. So he takes out like a measuring tape. He's measuring it. He's getting so excited. Every new doorway he sees, every new room, he's like, "This is insane."
Passing the cages, he's like, "The fuck?
Yeah,
no fuck." He's just like,
no care in the world. So like, of course, that's his concern. He's like, I'm like, to have the confidence of this man would be incredible. So I'm like typing all this out on my phone while I'm watching, like, cause I try to type it, and so I want to read out what I wrote and what I had tried to say.
Okay.
So I wrote, best fencing, not need scared, the first person cute. So what that meant was breastfeeding video. Oh, now he's scared. First person POV.
I love that you remembered what you were trying to say.
So I immediately was like, this is insane. I have to write this down. There was like this little room and there's like this breastfeeding video playing, which is like super weird and like gross. And then it switches to like first person point of view. So you're like you see his arms in front of you and he's like walking. And then you see that there's like this cage a la Silence of the Lamb, and she's alive inside it. Tess is alive. I couldn't believe she was alive. Yes.
And then he gets thrown in there, or he falls in there.
He falls because so I can't believe I didn't say this. Obviously, he sees the creature woman chasing him. He's freaking out, and he ends up falling into the cage. So then all of a sudden you have a blast to the past, and you're in like the 50s or 60s or whatever. Yes. And I made a hypothesis, and I said, okay, so the creature lady. Is this dude's wife or his child that he kept in the basement and never released? So that was my hypothesis at this point. So this is like this. So you're seeing this like super creepy dude. He's like following this girl. You're like, he's going to totally kidnap this girl. He like put on this fake uniform that said like Carlos on it. And he pretended to be like a repairman. He goes into her bathroom and like unlocks the window. So you know he's going to come in later that way.
Yeah.
And
when he was in like the grocery store buying like baby supplies and like the video, the lady was like, oh, if you're having a baby, like here's a video, which is the video that was playing. Yeah. He was just asking for weird shit.
Yeah.
It would have been like, oh, sir, like home birth. He was saying it was like home birth.
Yes.
And,
yeah. So then you switch back to modern time and you see this gross, dirty bottle coming down from the grave.
Yes.
So gross. And so then like AJ's refusing to drink from it, and
because it's like hair on the nipple.
So gross,
disgusting.
And so Tess is like, just drink it, drink it. And he's like, no, I don't want to drink it. So whatever. The lady comes down and grabs him and pulls him away and takes him into that breastfeeding room. And this is the scene that I said should have gotten deleted. She starts fucking breastfeeding him. It was so foul.
And this creature is not CGI. Like, there's a man in the suit.
No way.
Yeah, it's like prosthetic. Like, so it's just this like gross, like saggy breast and just long.
Dude,
like,
it's so gross.
And there was supposed to be the alternative was she was gonna feed him by the mouth. Like, and I don't know what's worse. I do not know what's worse. So, yeah.
Dude,
either way, disgusting.
Horrible. So Tess ends up being able to escape the cage because the creature lady didn't lock it. So she escapes. She gets out. She escapes. She breaks out of the window. And then there's the man who was chasing her earlier there. It turns out his name is Andre. And he is the goat. He really, he's like, listen, I've got a place over by the water tower. She never goes there. Yeah. Like, you can come with me. And she's like, no, I need to get this guy, AJ, out of there.
Random man. And I'm like, why are you being nice?
In my life.
Yep.
No.
No.
So she goes to the police officers and she's like, yo, we have to save this guy. And they don't believe her. Yeah. They're like, this woman has lost her mind. Yeah. She's like...
So, like, she didn't have any ID on her. She didn't have shit. And they were like, okay, she's like a crackhead or something. And like... The area, like, you can tell the cops are just like, we deal with shit all the time, every day, and this woman's just being like, hey, like, you gotta come help, and they're like, okay, ma'am.
So So she basically brings them back, and they're like, the only crime we're seeing right now is that you broke this window. And she's like, no, you have to go in there. And they basically get a call that there's some like big crime happening, and so they leave.
Yeah.
And so she decides she's gonna go back in there, which I couldn't. It could not be me.
No, because she was there for like at least almost 2 weeks, like a week and a half, maybe. Like, oh my god, no,
awful. So then it cuts back, and it's AJ. He's like not exploring. But he gets away somehow, and he's running, and then he ends up finding this other secret door. And then you see that the creature like backs away, and she leaves him alone. And he goes into this room, and you see the creepy old man from like the flashback. And of course, AJ thinks like this dude is totally fine, and there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, and he's like trapped too. He's like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna get you out."
Yeah.
Like,
and so you can see like there's the dress that you saw that the woman that he kidnapped was wearing, and there's like all these creepy names on the videos.
Yeah.
And so he ends up like watching a video, seeing that this guy is like a horrible murderer, and he's like trying to help this guy at one point, and the guy's like, give me some, like wanted some water.
Like pointing.
Yeah. So he gave him water, and then the guy's like pointing, and he just brings the whole desk over to him, or the whole bedside table to him. And he's like, the guy reaches in and pulls out a gun and ends up killing himself. Yeah. Like at first you're like, oh, is he gonna kill AJ? But no, he kills himself. Yeah. And AJ grabs the gun, and he's like running out, and then at the same time Tess is running in, and you're like, oh my god, is he gonna shoot her? And yes, he does shoot her. And yet she still is trying to help this man. Like, he pulls her out of the house, and like she had, mind you, she had seen the woman and rammed her car into the woman into the house. Yeah. And you think like, oh, she killed the creature, but no, they like come out of the house and the creature's gone. So she's like, don't worry, I know where we can go. So she goes to the water tower. Andre finds them, pulls them in. And they're like, well, how do we know she won't get here? And he's like, I've been here for 15 years. She's never come in. And you're like, oh, this guy's amazing. And then AJ is like starting to have a redemption arc. He's like, apologizing.
Like, I'm a terrible person. Right. I feel like I shot her. This is my fault. We have to get her help.
Yes, exactly. And then all of a sudden, the creature rips off Andre's arm and beats him to death with it.
And it's like funny because literally the second he was like, she's never been here. I've been here for years. She just jumps in immediately.
Of course. Freaking of course.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous. So then they're like running. They're running. She's been shot in the side. Tessa's been shot in the side. He is just like running up the water tower all the way to the top.
Just leaving her.
He's like, come on, hurry up. And he's like ditching her. Yeah. He was like, oh, I shot her. I feel so bad. And now he's just leaving her. So then she's like, you have the gun. And then he drops it like an idiot.
Dude, when he dropped it, I was like,
oh, I'm so mad.
I'm so over this
I was
guy.
so mad. That was so annoying. So then he drops the gun, and then basically he's like, one of us is going to die. You're the weakest link. And he shoves her off the water tower.
He's like, come get your baby.
Yes. Because that's what she was calling them. She was acting like they were the babies. Yeah. And so the creature jumps off and like ends up actually protecting her. Yeah. And so Tess falls on top of the creature. AJ is like, he runs down, he sees that she's alive, he's like, I'm sorry, I had to do it, one of us had to survive.
Such an asshole.
And then all of a sudden the creature comes up behind him and squishes his head like a grape.
Yep.
It was so gross.
Both disgusting yet satisfying.
So disgusting. And yet I was like, I don't like this dude.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
But then you're kind of feeling bad for the creature because it's like it's kind of like babying Tess and like, oh no, you're hurt, like trying to heal her or whatever. And the girl takes out the gun and she ends up shooting the creature and then walking away. Yeah. And that was the end of the horrible. So first of all, the most memorable scene was Keith getting destroyed. Yes. Insane. Yeah. The main character, I said I would smash. She was great. She was. We
love Tess. We love the final girl.
Yeah. I could not believe how well she did. Main villain obviously passed. I circled that like 70 times.
Well, who was technically the main villain?
Well, I put it as the creature.
Either way.
But even still, like, I mean, if you were, because the main villain wasn't Keith. Yeah. The main villain, I guess you could say, could also have been AJ, but he really wasn't the main bad. He was like,
right. Well, the father,
but still that would be a pass.
Yeah, obviously, because Andre, he did say that because the father was obviously kidnapping women, doing things, recording, horrible things, and was just keeping them in cages. They would have kids, he'd keep them in cages. So it was like years of incest, and
that's why this creature is like able to have like more like
she was like stronger and tall. I mean,
whatever,
little supernatural, but that was their explanation for who this creature was and like why she was like that.
I wrote how likely I am to survive this situation was a 1.
That's fair.
I would be dead. Aside from the fact that I would have left right away. Like I would have been gone like night 1, but I would not survive. And this would not be recommended at all to a non-horror fan.
Yeah, it was hard for me to recommend this to you because I'm like, oh, it might be early, but I'm like, it's too good. It has the one Petro.
It was well made.
Yes.
But it was horrible. Scariness, 5 out of 5. Enjoyability, -5 out of 5. So I gave it a 1.
Oh, no.
A 1 heart. I was so scared. This really wrecked me.
I think because it is scary. I think this was scary, but I like that there was some humor to it because it helped with the ridiculousness of the situation. Yeah, it was so insane. And then you have Justin Long's character. Just, that helped. The worst, but like it helped with the comedy.
Yes, it definitely did help in that aspect of it for sure.
Because without it, like I don't know if the movie would have been like for me. I thought it was a good movie, but I don't know if it would have been as good if it didn't have that humor because it was just such a crazy like.
You
concept.
Needed it, like him measuring everything. That was insane and amazing. Like that was so funny. Yeah. So that was really good. Okay, so.
It's good to know like your threshold here.
Yeah, this was past. I think I could only do like one of these every few months max. That was
Yeah, not all of these are going to be bad horror movies, so I'll give a little more warning. Yeah, but this one was hard to give warning without spoiling.
No, that's fair, but I probably should have given some trigger warnings at the beginning of the episode.
This
one too. It has a lot. If you do choose to watch Barbarian, it's got the sexual assaults in multiple ways. It's got eyeball squishing.
Yep, eyeball squishing, dismemberment, breastfeeding.
Oh god.
Not consensual breastfeeding.
Oh god, horrible.
So for next week, our recommendations. I am having Megan watch Carrie, the original Carrie.
And I'm having Demi watch 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, tune in for a fun one, guys. Anyway, you can reach out to us on social with suggestions for movies or themes. You can find us at howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com and How Do You Watch This on Insta, Threads, and TikTok. And thank you for listening.
Thanks.